Oh my WAWD, it's an episode on Game of Thrones. I'm Evan Arcade and this is Jason Patrick. Thank you for joining us. What's up, Jason?
Hey man, what's going on? Have a busted
Well,
headset. You could barely see me, so yeah.
it looks pretty janky. What are we talking about today? I mean, I kind of already said it, but like, what's the deal? Give us
Yeah, so
this. Yeah,
I thought
it's
in honor of the end. Oh, sorry. I thought in honor of basically 1 year ago was the series finale. Well, yeah, to this day actually, we're recording on the 19th. Was the series finale of Game of Thrones. So I thought we could kind of do like a retrospective here, talk about how we got into the series, overall thoughts, favorite moments and characters and such stuff like that. So yeah, it's a little
absolutely, yeah,
retrospective for you guys.
for sure. Real quick, thank you for those who are subscribing. If you are subscribing or following us along on YouTube, like I said, we're on Instagram, oh my wad at Gmail. And yeah, just keep following along, leave some reviews, subscribe if you like it. And if you want to I would say sample us. You could sample us on YouTube because you could skip around through that. I don't even know how it is, right? Because
That's
if
convenient,
you
yeah.
try to get an iTunes, I think you have to kind of listen to the entire thing or download it.
You
I'm
have
not
to
sure how.
stream it and use data if you're not on Wi-Fi. You gotta
Yeah, just go
download
on
it.
YouTube,
So YouTube's a
skip
lot
around
easier.
there, see it.
Mhm.
But yeah, thank you for continually supporting and following us and listening to us. And yeah, Game of Thrones. I
Yeah.
purposely I knew about this episode, but I purposely didn't really follow up or not follow up. I didn't really do a lot of research on it, anything. I wanted to go into this blind, yeah,
Neither
let's
did
talk about
I
whatever I
really.
can remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel very unprepared right now, but
Oh, I
I
thought
think
you
I'll be
were
fine.
ready.
I have a lot of opinions on the show, so
Yeah.
yeah.
So first off, let's talk about this.
hmm
You've never read the books. I've never read
I
them.
have not, no.
Yeah. I did get the books, tried reading them. I don't
hmm
really like the way the guy writes. It doesn't seem very. I come from a background of reading fantasy novels and sci-fi novels, like Timothy Zahn, who used to write Star Wars books, and then Tolkien, who wrote all the Hobbits and
Yeah, Lord
all
of the
that stuff,
Rings.
or Lewis Carroll with a lot of the Narnia stuff. So there's a very kind of kind of like a
C.S. Lewis.
yes, that's my bad. Yeah, I said Carol Lewis, right? Who's not?
Who's Lewis Carroll?
No, there's another guy named Carol. I think I can't remember.
Oh,
Whoever wrote Alice in Wonderland, and then there's some. I don't know if he was the same person who wrote. I mean, now we're getting confused.
okay.
One of them wrote Alice in Wonderland, the other person wrote Narnia, or that's the same dude. I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
Got it already. I have the books right there. I'm not gonna get up.
I read a few
Um,
Narnias. Yeah.
yeah, I did read some of the Narnia stuff, and like I said, I read all the other stuff. But when I started reading the Game of Thrones stuff, it just seemed very crude to me.
Okay.
Like for some reason, I just never thought in this fake fantasy world, I would hear the word "fuck" so blatant,
hmm
which is kind of very common in the TV show. It's just kind of thrown around a lot, like you like to fuck, you fuck everybody you want, and it's like for that. HBO is known for because this show was on HBO. HBO is just known for being a very salacious kind of risque network, right? So that made sense. But as when I was reading the books, I was just kind of like, this seems a little gratuitous in the sense of how they were talking, and
Okay.
it just kind of threw me off. It's like this doesn't seem very fantasy like, but they really just use these words for some reason. And you know, in their defense, I could have kept going just to read more about it. I hear really good things about the series,
Uh-huh.
obviously, since that's why they made the entire TV show based off of it. But that's really all I have. That's all my background is with that. Like I don't really know that much other than the show. So,
Okay.
and we are
Yeah, I
talking.
mean, I never read the novels, and I'm not sure if I'm I mean, maybe one day I'll get to them, but it's
Mm,
kind of like I was thinking about this earlier today, kind of like with Harry Potter. Uh, I saw a few of the films before I got into the books, and I ended up reading the books, but I feel like that's just like a weird way to do it because I like when like you read the book, you haven't seen any type of adaptations on it, and so you kind
yeah,
of create the world and the characters in your own head. But once that's already out, once you've already seen a movie, whenever you read the books, you're just gonna place those actors and
right.
the way that world looks, like that's gonna
Yeah.
be in your mind as you're reading them. So
Okay.
I'd be interested in maybe one day reading the books, but I feel like that's what's going to happen to me. I'm just going to picture the world the entire time. So
That's a good point to make because it's like it's kind of hard. Like no matter which way you come from, you're always gonna be biased, right? Like a lot of people always say, like,
yeah,
"Oh, I prefer the book better." I don't know anybody who
it's
ever said,
always
like, "Oh, I
prefer the
prefer
book.
the show better," because I don't know if anybody actually who watches a movie and then reads the adaptation or watches a show and reads the adaptation that says like, "Oh, the TV show is better." I'm sure there are cases like that. And
It's pretty rare. Well, I mean, The
yeah,
Crow, for example, I
right.
think is better. Fight Club, actually, I think the movie's better than the book.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know about the Crow. The Crow is a really awesome comic.
I didn't think it was that awesome.
No, but you're right. The film is really well. I mean, they obviously we're not talking about that right now, but yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so it's like you automatically put these pictures or these people in your mind, right? Whereas the
Yeah.
book, whenever you read something, you kind of develop an image in your own head. I will say that it's also kind of cool, like especially you mentioned Harry Potter, where they kind of have some illustrations in there, and obviously you see the book cover art, so you immediately kind of think like, oh, that's Harry looks like a little runt loser kid, like his hair's all messed up. And I remember
Yeah.
reading about like Hermione's like her hair is just always this huge bushy mess, like it's just horrible. Like she's got bad hair, she's buck tooth, like that's how they describe her in the book. But
Right.
obviously Emma Watson is not. I mean, I think she might have looked like that in the beginning, like the very first film, and then after that, like her hair got nice because everyone's probably like, no, we got to make her look appealing and pretty, like the kids, I guess. I don't know. I thought it was stupid. Um, but yeah, like what? So we're talking about why do we get into this? I'm a big fan of sword and sorcery, fantasy type stuff. So
Okay. I'm
when Game
not
of Thrones
at
came
all.
out, I
No
thought,
interest.
cool. I'm down. I don't have HBO. I don't know how I'll watch this show, but
Uh-huh.
I like, and they have dragons, all this other stuff in it. What was your first impression of it before you got into it, or how do you even did you get into it? Because you're not into that sort of thing.
So yeah, I don't like fantasy at all, really.
Yes.
I mean, but then again, I guess that's coming from an ignorant perspective because like I've never really read fantasy novels, but like like Lord of the Rings and stuff like that, I enjoy those films. Uh, Never read the books either. But so like I don't know, I don't gravitate to like when it's too like high fantasy. I don't like that.
Yeah.
But actually, for the Game of Thrones show, I didn't watch the first season initially, so like it had already aired, and I remember seeing like the poster art for when, or like the promotional poster or whatever for when the second season was coming out. So spoilers. I mean, of course, this whole episode is gonna be as a retrospective, so
Yeah, it's
obviously
been a year since
spoilers.
the last one.
But
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Most of the world's seen the show. Um, but the poster was Ned Stark's head on a pike. So I'm like, what? I
Really?
did not know. Yeah,
No.
that was the
Right.
like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm like, wow, the main character Sean Bean, who I guess he dies in everything. He dies in the
That's
show.
everything. That's true. Yeah.
So like, that's what made me want to like seek the show out. So I started, from that point, and then I kept current with the show as it was airing. So I was initially a season behind, and then I kept up with it. So yeah,
I think I was,
that's why I was interested in it. Go ahead.
it was a similar thing happened to me. I was never there from the beginning, mainly because I've never
Hmm.
had cable. I never had access to a lot of the stuff. So
Yeah, same.
part of it was like maybe I think like 2 seasons in or something. I think is when I decided to like search it out through like those questionable streaming sites that you find out
I'm
there
sure that's how I was watching it too.
on the
That
web.
is how I was watching it.
Yeah, because I wanted to see it. I mean, obviously, when I first watched it, I thought it would be a little bit more just kind of action packed. It obviously turned out to be a very political TV show.
Yeah.
It's kind of like these warring families and factions and countries fighting for power. So it was a different dynamic, at least for me, coming from a fantasy background of reading these books. It was different. It was a different perspective on fantasy than I was used to, because it was focusing more on these families in a way where it's more about like how do we get a foothold in this land? How can we take control of this? The king's dead. Who comes next? And in general, I would find that very boring.
Uh-huh.
But I think what sold it for me too was just how gorgeous and how much the amount of detail that went into this series, right? Like it's just incredible. Like the production value is just everything looks so. When anything is that authentic, I'm there. I don't care how boring it is, whatever kind of period piece it is. Like if they take the time to like go to those places and dress them up like that with like, I mean, just like the palaces, the shots in the palaces, like all those scenes, and they're just chilling and drinking. It's like, oh my god, that's insane. It looks awesome. You don't see that anywhere else, so.
Yeah, I mean, and like I said, I'm not into high fantasy, but that's what drew me to the show. It was more like that political aspect, and it's like the show starts off at a time where like the more fantastical elements of the world are kind of like in the past. So people are like, so there's people who exist in the world who don't really believe it because they weren't around during that time.
Right. Yeah.
So all of that stuff's like on the periphery, and that's what I enjoyed about the show. It's like the fantasy wasn't up in your face; it was in the background. Obviously, it gets more fantastical as it goes along. But that's why I liked it, because it was less fantasy, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say are some of like the moments that stood out to you the most from the entire series?
I mean, well, definitely the Red Wedding. Obviously, everybody always talks about that.
Right.
So I mean, that's a pretty heart-wrenching scene. It's pretty painful.
It's pretty fucked up,
yeah. Some of my favorite characters.
I was gonna say, I think at that point is when everyone said the gloves are off, like anybody can go. I mean, obviously with Sean Bean dying, we know like he dies all the time. But when they did that, when he did them dirty, all those people, even the baby and stuff, you're like, okay, wow, why do I give a shit about any of these people? Because they're all just gonna die.
Yeah. Well, and that's an issue. I think that's an issue with the show, where eventually they kill off so many characters that like there's a lot of people that I like, and then I mean, but yeah, I mean the Red Wedding, obviously it seems like every season of the show, episode 8 is always the big one, right? Because it's always like the big battle, like the most production value goes into those episodes. Right. So obviously the Blackwater episode I really loved. Yeah, what about you? What are some of your moments?
Well, I mean, like obviously Joffrey dying was pretty awesome.
Yeah. But that seemed a little bit anticlimactic to me, because it happened like in the middle of the season, right?
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's cool. Like I like that they didn't pull any, or like they didn't hold off on everything.
Yeah.
There was things that popped up that you would see like, oh, cool, that happened now. Like you didn't have to wait a whole season for it to happen. I mean, even from the beginning, when what's his name, Jamie Stark pushes out Bran, like just from the get go. Like I mean, obviously people who have read these books, they know what happens from the beginning, but because I think to this point he hasn't even finished writing the stories. Like the series is done and he has never finished. But just stuff like that is really shocking to me. It was, which was, you said the Battle of Blackwater? Which one was that one? I'm trying to remember.
That's the one where like I said I would get the names of the characters because I'm gonna fuck these people up. So Tyrion, when he kind of goes out to battle with them, and he has that whole plan where.
Yes, that was awesome.
What's the green fire?
Firewater,
Firewater, something like that.
I don't know if that's what it's called, but yeah, it's like the green stuff, which also they use that when Cersei uses that to blow up the entire like church or the palace that kills her son or not her son, the next queen. I forgot her name. We're doing horrible. We don't know anybody's names.
Yeah, this is bad. This is like the name part's going to be bad. And sorry, guys. We'll try to fact check ourselves as we go along here. Marjorie Tyrell was part of that. When they and her brother, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite episodes in the series, and I think that's like that's the finale, right, of that season. I believe
it was that one. Yeah. If not, it might have been a mid-season finale. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Of course, anything that had to do with the dragons, like one of the big major battle when like Jamie almost died and like.
That was amazing.
I mean, this like I liked that eventually they saw like the potential in this and like they just pumped so much money into this show to make everything look that good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was great. Obviously, when Daenerys was coming out of the fire and she was holding the dragon eggs, that was pretty epic. Everyone was like, "Holy shit!" And she was naked too, which is awesome. But I mean, that's something that you kind of expect from that show. I think they ended up toning down a lot of the nudity because I think people were complaining. And I think some of the actors were complaining.
There's a lot of sex in the film.
They were saying like, this is very gratuitous. There's no reason why we should just be completely naked. And then everyone else was like, it's fucking medieval times shit. And this is from an old white dude who's writing the story. He wants to see you guys naked, I guess. So you start seeing less and less of that. But like in the beginning, like when Tyrion is sleeping with, I think her name was Rose. I remember because she was a redhead, and I love redheads. Because she was like a prostitute. She was a prostitute.
Yeah,
and she was,
I know who you're talking about.
and she was like completely naked too. And I was like, yeah, I like this show. There was a few and far between when that stuff happened.
Uh-huh. And then obviously, Battle of the Bastards is one of like probably one of the high watermarks of the
So
series.
I didn't really care for it. I thought it was a letdown.
I mean, when you have those like scenes in like fantasy films or even like war films, you have like people clashing together. I thought they did a
Yeah.
good take on that.
Oh,
'Cause,
totally.
like that
Yeah, that makes
happens, but
sense.
then there was that whole sequence where John's just like fighting and like being buried by like all the dead bodies and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
that was nuts.
there was a lot of
I
cool
seriously,
ideas.
I seriously got anxiety from seeing that. Like I could feel it. Like I was just like, oh my god. Like how do we get out? How do you get out? It's like no one will ever find him. Well, like I'm gonna die. Yeah, no, that's definitely true. Like because there's like you said, like all these characters end up dying. Who were some of your favorites? I guess.
Some of my favorites. Okay, here. I seriously need to like fucking look these people up. Uh, so yeah, I
I just
mean,
want to
obviously
mention.
Jon
I
Snow.
want to
Jon
mention. I'm
Snow's
drawing.
what?
I know we don't do what's brew for this, but I just have this one. It's really good, actually. It's called Luxurious Luxury,
Nice.
Volume 3.
You guys can't
And
see it. By the way, the reason why I just want to caveat, I moved out. I'm sorry about the video quality, guys. And my headphones broke, so if you watch the video, you can see me holding my mic in place. But yeah, I mean, Jon Snow was great. Obviously, I think as the series went on, especially that there's that season where he dies and then he comes back to life. I think as soon as he comes back to life, he's pretty much a useless character after
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Tyrion, obviously everybody loves Tyrion.
Mhm.
He's funny. He drinks a lot. Um,
I think
but
he's
like,
probably one of my favorites too. Just
yeah,
overall,
he
he
is.
changed a
But
lot.
I guess it's the same idea with Tyrion as well. Like as the series goes on, he became a little bit too one note for me. A lot
Yeah,
of people that I like died. Like I really liked Robb Stark. Uh, I really liked Catelyn Stark
Yeah,
a
Catelyn
lot.
Stark. I think, yeah.
Really liked her. I really like Marjorie. Oh, and then of
Mhm.
course Cersei. I think like I kind of grew to love to hate her. I thought she ended up being a
Yeah,
great
I would say
villain and
like
like
it definitely made a lot of this show definitely made a lot of characters like truly evil. Like it really made you hate these people. Like obviously you hated Joffrey, you hated Cersei,
uh-huh.
and they did a good job with Jamie too. Like they wanted you to hate
Yeah,
him,
I just
and then
thought of
you
that now.
got to
Jamie's
like
my
him.
favorite character. Let me say
Yeah,
that.
I mean it's fucked up, and it's one of those things where it's like, how do you redeem such a character? But it happens in a lot of films and a lot of TV shows. But I think they did a really good job in terms of having him come around and stuff. And
Yeah, it
still,
was very organic for sure.
yeah, definitely I think out of all of them. And there was like a lot of other side characters. Like what was his name? The guy who was like the private bodyguard of both of them. Is it Braun?
Uh, yeah, Braun
Braun? Yeah, I thought he
or
was fun.
Bran.
No, Bran's the kid.
Yeah, I know. He has like a similar name to him.
Yeah, I think it's Braun. Braun or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's good. He was,
I didn't like the Hound. I was kind of getting tired of that dude the whole time. You know, I
I
understand his
didn't like when he
motivation,
came
but
back, but initially, yeah, I mean, overall, I like the Hound. I think he's a great character. But yeah,
Arya
I'm
was
gonna
cool.
keep
I think out of all
repeating.
the
Like,
Stark people,
what was that?
I would say out of all the Stark people, I think Arya had the most interesting. I guess
Yeah, I mean, they gave her the
journey.
big
I would say
moments.
journey. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the issue. I mean, I guess let's stay on favorite stuff now because I have plenty of negative to
Yeah.
say
Yeah.
about
Mm.
character arcs and whatnot. Uh, but yeah, Melisandre
Gotcha.
is one of my favorite characters, the
I
witch
just like
lady.
her. She was naked most of the time. Otherwise, I didn't really care.
Yes, she's my
And she's a
crush.
redhead.
She's my crush on the show. She's an older woman. She's beautiful. She's married to Guy Pearce, or they had a baby together at least. Yeah,
Her?
her.
I thought she was married to somebody else.
She was, I think.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Interesting.
Little
Prior
side
to
note.
this, prior to this show, I only knew her from a film that I really liked. where she also got naked, but that's not the reason I got the film. I think it was called Black Book, and it's about like
Yeah, I
German,
never saw
you know.
that. Verhoeven directed it, right?
I think so. Yeah, yeah, and
Did
she's in
like
it.
RoboCop and
Yeah, yeah.
Starship Troopers.
It was actually a really good film about
Hmm.
like, like passing off as a German and trying to get that through all that stuff. So it was really good. There was a one scene where she has to like dye her pubes to make sure that she's be like that. I mean, it
A
wasn't.
very
It was
perverted
tasteful. It wasn't
episode so
like
far.
obvious, whatever. I know. But I mean, I'd obviously get steamy because of the guy she's with, and they get together. But I just remember that part standing out. You can't see anything, and that's not why I saw
Uh,
it.
yeah.
But no,
Yeah,
it was a good film.
Rudy actually, he back when that movie came out, he really wanted me to see it, and I never did. One of the films that Rudy wanted me to see, and I didn't, because he also wanted me to see Dogville, Lars von Trier film.
Mm-hmm.
Never saw that either.
No, that's not Lars von.
Yeah, it
That's
is.
oh, Dogville. I'm thinking about Dogtooth. You're right.
Oh yeah, never saw that either.
Okay, so real randomly, I'm just gonna say this. I don't know how my Apple Watch just picked up what I said. I said that's not what I saw it, but I know
Uh-huh.
it was a good film. That's what it heard, and then it wrote Scoob 2020 55%.
That's
Okay.
funny.
All right, thanks. I mean, I do want to see
Right.
Scoob, but anyway.
Yeah, I like staying on that little tangent. Yeah, whenever sometimes like I'll be talking and it'll record the voice to text, and I love when that happens because then I just see a weird ass fucking text that I wrote. Well, I mean, it
Yeah.
doesn't send it, but it like copies it.
Right,
There was
right. It
one
just
one time
shows
where I
you
was
what it
super
is.
drunk and it did that. It was pretty
Yeah.
hilarious. But yeah,
Um,
let's continue.
yeah. So the people you hate, I guess. I mean, because I'm trying to think of there's not a lot of people that I really like. There's
Well,
never,
I can
and
start.
I never came away from it and being like, oh man, I love this character. You know, like there's a lot of people who are really diehard Game of Thrones fans.
Uh-huh.
Obviously, they buy the memorabilia. I remember once they sent at the studio when I was working at Legendary,
Hmm.
they sent us like I don't know who they teamed up with, but they had wine, Game of Thrones wine. You know, like for the different houses.
Yeah.
I remember someone getting. I like when they did that sort of stuff. The promotional game for HBO and for that series was awesome because I think they also sent out dragon eggs, which I
Uh-huh.
think turned out to be candles or something. I can't remember, but they had a lot of cool stuff. But overall, there was never anybody that I said like, "Damn, that guy's awesome. I want to have his sword." Or I want to cosplay as this dude. There's a lot, obviously, there's a huge culture where everyone's cosplaying as these characters.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, and even then, with the people you hate, I mean, I hate him to the point where it just got exhausting. Like, oh, I fucking hate Cersei. Like, fuck her. I don't give a shit anymore. Why isn't this person dead yet? How come no one's killed her yet? How come Jamie's still alive? And that's how I always felt throughout this entire show. It's like, why is this person still alive? Why did they kill that guy and not this guy? Come
Yeah.
on, you know. But there was a lot of side characters. I mean, it was really hard to keep track sometimes, you know, because there was a lot of people on the side that you didn't
Hmm.
really care about, and I
Yeah.
don't think they wanted you to care about them, but still.
Yeah, sometimes characters will like disappear and then pop back up, and I'm like, I don't remember who that is.
Mhm.
uh,
And it didn't help that they recast a lot of them too. So
yeah, I was looking through the list, and they definitely recasted Dario. So
hmm
that was Daenerys'
Yep.
girl, and I love the actor who played him initially. Like
Originally, yeah,
he had such a unique look and like beautiful long blonde hair,
yeah, yeah.
uh, and he
And
was
he
just
had this
super
foreign
cool. And
accent.
then they recasted him. I guess Ed Screen is the actor that uh,
Originally played him.
no, not originally, who took his place, and I didn't
No,
like
no,
him
no.
at
Ed
all.
Screen was the original guy. Ed Screen was the I don't know. He's British or Irish or whatever. The new
No,
guy
no,
was like a French.
he was the replacement.
No,
I'm positive.
no. Look it up, dude. Ed Screen was also in Deadpool. He was the guy whose name was Ajax. He was the
No,
enemy in
it's
Deadpool.
not
And he was
him. No, it's
the first
not.
guy. Yeah.
Nope. No, because Ed Screen was in multiple seasons. The guy who
No,
initially played him was just in that one season, and then
that's Ed
they
Screen.
changed
The
him.
guy who played him was got some guy, some French guy. His name's like Olivier or Jamie or something like that.
All right, we're gonna
Wow.
find this out.
We're gonna look this up. I
Well,
want to look.
maybe the casting has the wrong name, the Yahoo or Google. Anyway, uh,
Shit. Here we go again. 15.
We're gonna look this up, people.
My internet's awful.
It's not live, but we're looking it up. Dario.
Okay, you're right. So Ed Screen was season 3. Michelle Huseman was seasons 4 through
There
6.
you go. Yeah, exactly. See?
Hey, blame Google. I will send you a screenshot. Google has fucking Dario here.
Just know you're
and they
active,
put Ed Screen's
bro.
name. I don't know him. What else is he in? What was Ed Screen in? Oh yeah, okay, yeah. You said he was in Deadpool. He had a shaved head though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or like
he was
a crew
also,
cut.
I think, Pearl Harbor. He was in a lot of stuff. He was originally going to be in Hellboy, but then he left the role because he was supposed to be playing an Asian guy, but then everyone was like, "You're not. And why the fuck are you playing him?" So he eventually left the part because everyone was hating on him for it. The latest one, the latest Hellboy.
Okay.
So he actually dropped out of that. He played the transporter when they did the remake. He was in Battle Angel Alita, that one cyborg that looks.
Oh yeah. How do you like that movie, by the way?
I love it.
I thought it was cool too. I mean, the story-wise, it doesn't really come together, but that was a fucking awesome-looking movie.
It was a very long movie. It could have been 2 movies, but yeah. Anyway,
so let's start the hate train here, because I have plenty.
There's
I've
a
not
lot
plenty of
to
characters. Fucking Daenerys. I never liked Daenerys, really, from the get-go. I do think the last few seasons, I didn't warm up to her necessarily, but at least I liked where they took her character. But yeah, I never cared for Daenerys. I'm sure Emilia Clarke will never listen to this podcast, but I just thought, as far as acting is concerned, she couldn't. She wasn't as good as the rest of the actors on her show.
I think the role was too big for her to really know how to inhabit.
Yeah.
I do like that. Eventually, she went from a very naive, almost child, to someone who's very sure of herself. But even then, it's just very hard to believe, right? A woman like Lena Headey, who played Cersei, that's fucking believable. You see her in that role and just being sweet, but you still know she's conniving and all this other stuff. Whereas, I mean, I think Emilia Clarke was even. It's kind of hard because she just has that very I don't know what the term is for women, but when you see a guy like Tobey Maguire, he's a very boyish kind of personality.
She just has an innocent look to her.
Yeah, innocent is the best way to look at it. So it's really hard for that to come around and be how do you change that up? Obviously, so I mean, just pretty to look at. I guess that's why. I'm just saying.
Stop objectifying.
Well, I'm not. I'm just saying this is the reason why they cast these people. I'm not into it because of that.
Oh no, she's very good looking.
I hate when people say I went to go see this movie or this show because of this person. I'm I don't give a shit if the movie sucked, then the movie sucked.
I think women tend to do that more. Would see a movie because there's a hot guy.
Men? Really?
I think so. Have you ever went to a movie because there's a hot girl in it? I've never done that.
No, that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. No.
No, yeah, I think
know a lot of guys
tend to do that.
Especially in the geek culture. That's huge.
Oh, okay, that makes total sense.
They're all about, oh my gosh, I want to go see it because of this chick, and I'm like, okay, maybe she can't. Can she act? Anyway,
yeah, maybe I'm being.
But I'm just saying, obviously these people. I mean, Jamie Lannister. I forgot his name. A Dutch dude, the guy who plays Jamie Lannister. He's obviously a really a good-looking guy, and I can't imagine them. How come their kids weren't ugly looking? They're fucking incest born. It's
sometimes it ends up working out.
They had 3 kids. All 3 kids are beautiful looking babies.
I mean, I wouldn't call Joffrey beautiful looking.
He wasn't.
Tillman's a handsome dude before he, killed himself.
Yeah, I mean, then the daughter was also.
Yeah, then she got poisoned, right?
Yeah, poison. Yeah. I'm just saying it's kind of weird. I'm just saying pretty much everybody in this show was beautiful looking. That's all.
Okay.
No matter
By the way,
what.
back to the good characters. I know we already passed that up. I just want to not forget these people as I'm looking through the list. Brienne, obviously one of the best characters on the show. Brienne of Tarth.
I don't know.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
So you didn't like Brienne or the Mountain? They're similar roles?
I like that there was these 2 different opposing forces coming at each other, but I liked neither of them. She was just this stuck up, I gotta follow the rules, by my sword, by my this, and it's
Stuck up. She had honor. She's a knight. What do you mean?
She wasn't a
She's
knight
not.
until
She's
like
not
later
stuck up
on.
at all.
I don't know. She's just a goody two shoe. Okay.
That's what
All
I
about
liked
like
about her. She's
I gotta
pure.
I gotta take you all the way here because I promised I pledged my life to this guy. Now I'm pledging my life to this guy. I like there was a comment that somebody made in the show that I really liked. It's like I think it was Jamie who said like it seems like everyone you pledge your life to ends up dead or something. And I was like, yeah, exactly. Because you gotta follow the rules.
Yeah. So a few more here. I liked Oberyn, the one or like one season that he was in it before he
The
got his
snake?
head crushed by the
Was it?
mountain. Oberyn?
Yeah, but what was his like nickname? Like he had a nickname like the Cobra or the Snake or something. I can't remember. No, the Viper. And they
The
called him the
Viper.
Viper. Yeah.
So he's awesome. I liked Jorah a lot. You know, the older guy who's in love with Daenerys.
Yeah, that guy.
What happened?
Yeah, that guy
He was a
was a creep.
creep? He was fine. He was a good looking dude. She should have gave him more of the time of day. I think he's a handsome guy. Hey, I appreciate beauty here, guys. If you're listening, like men or women, I appreciate it. Lord Varys. Varys is great. I think they really
Oh yeah, he was
they
awesome.
really fucking did his character dirty,
Great.
which we're going to get into like the last season towards the end here. I
You're talking
mean,
about the eunuch, right? The bald dude.
yeah,
What do you mean they did him bad?
they did him dirty. Well, we'll get into that because we're gonna talk about the
I can't
last
remember.
season towards the end of the
I didn't
episode.
like Littlefinger. I'm so glad when that guy fucking finally got it.
Yeah, that actor always plays like conniving characters because he just has that face. So
He has that face.
that's
What
Aiden Gillen.
casting? Yeah.
Oh,
No. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Varys was awesome. I'm trying to think about like, the people who were like in the main throne room, like around the hand. I think Sean Bean was also his character. Ned Stark was good. I like Ned Stark.
Yeah, I mean that Turk was great, honorable, kind of naive to what he was getting himself into, and he obviously paid for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sansa couldn't get into. Oh wait, I'm confused now. Are we talking about people we do like or we don't like?
We could just go back and forth. I mean,
Yeah,
for me,
no, yeah.
for
Well,
me, it
'cause we're
was
going on
less.
the list of actor or characters, so
So like for me, it's not so much about like not liking the characters. It's not liking the character arcs. So like when I was talking earlier about how the Red Wedding happened, it just kind of closed some storylines there. And so like Arya, yeah, I know everybody loves Arya. She's a badass. She becomes a badass at towards the last few seasons.
yeah.
Uh, but I really like. I'm not sure what seasons it was, but whenever she was going through that nameless and faceless thing, I thought that was completely uninteresting. Like
It was very boring.
that arc, obviously Bran just like fucking talking to trees and stuff. Like I thought, so there was just so many storylines that I couldn't care less about. And so that made me kind of dislike the characters. I mean, I think everybody like unanimously doesn't
Yeah, I
care
think
for
you're right.
Bran.
Yeah.
I don't, and we'll talk about what they did with his character in the finale. But yeah.
Yeah. What would
Any
you
other?
say?
Go ahead.
I mean, we'll obviously talk about the characters a little bit more. I like how you pointed that out about the character arcs.
Mhm.
It's true. Regardless of that, like I would say, like a lot of them did have decent character arcs. Like
Yeah.
Sansa, despite whatever she is, she went from this like this young innocent girl as well, who I think actually, in a weird way, I feel like Sansa, or I forgot her name, the actress who plays her,
Sophie
uh,
Turner.
Sophie Turner, would have made a better Daenerys. I think her acting and the way she went from like this little young innocent girl who's like, I just want to dress up really nice and go to court, and then have all the shit that happened to her come out of it becoming like a very kind of eyes open. I see things from all different angles now, kind of like Littlefinger because she spent time with Littlefinger and sees how the world is and just the way she reacts to it and how she becomes like this kind of, I wouldn't say she was a strategic genius, but she kind of like, I've been there, I know what that's like, I know how they think, sort of thing. I think that was more believable than how Emilia Clarke played Daenerys, I think. And despite like I just never really cared for Sansa. Obviously, I felt for her for everything that she'd been through, but overall, I still didn't really like her. It's just like kind of like whatever. I mean, even though she was a redhead, still nothing. Nothing. I didn't feel anything. I mean, like like story wise, I just felt like outside of like they want you to sympathize for everything that's happened, but at the same time, and I think she's got some awesome moments too. Like, oh, that's awesome that she did that. But overall, it's nothing like, yeah, I'm rooting for her. She's my favorite character or anything like that. But I still think she had a really good character arc.
Yeah, I like where she
And
went
I
as
mean,
well.
I think out of a lot, pretty much almost everybody, she endured a ton of shit. Like she survived a lot, and she had to put up with the emotional abuse from Joffrey, from everybody else, like being on the run, being tortured by, was it the guy's name Ramsey? Was his name Ramsey?
Yeah, Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah, that
Hmm.
shit, and like being oppressed by her aunt and the fucking cousin, and then Littlefinger trying to play head games with her. Like that's a lot of shit. Like out of all the other people that I know, that obviously they endured like some kind of pain, physical pain or whatever. Like the Hound getting his ass kicked or whatever. Like I think because she survived through all that. I mean, obviously John went through a lot of stuff too,
For
but
sure.
even then, like nothing compared to what Sansa went through. And even then, I would have felt like she should be the one. But I think because she went through so much, she couldn't have been the ruler at the end of everything.
Hmm. I mean, yeah, like towards the end, she, ends up being the ruler, I guess, of the North in a sense,
That's true,
which I
right?
thought
Yeah,
was appropriate. She would have been a much better ruler than Jon Snow, who
John and
is
everybody else.
just apathetic to everything eventually. uh, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
just
he
kind of
turned
looking
out to
through the
be such
characters if
a
we want to hit on nobody
turned out
else. But go
so
ahead.
so he turned out to be so pointless and useless, John.
Yeah, they just kind of gave him nothing to do those last few seasons. And then obviously they eventually him and Daenerys got together, and that just from the get go to me that seemed really unnatural
Yeah,
where that went, like
totally.
just them falling for each other. Like I didn't believe any of that. So
Dude, you've never been to war. You don't know what it's like. Two strong leaders getting all hot and bothered on that leather.
I think they probably just thought
I'll
one
tell you,
another
when
was
when
hot
this
and
show
that was
started
it.
out, HBO banked heavily on the fact that it was like they were trying to sell the sex of the show.
Yeah, and there was a
Like
lot
this
of
is kind
sex
of
in
like
those early
this is like a
seasons.
very steamy, like kind of fantasy novel setting of a show, and we wanted to see it. And then I was like halfway in through the entire run of it, I think it started becoming more serious. Like it wasn't as
Uh-huh.
campy in a way, because I feel like in the beginning it was kind of campy, like. And obviously we know like Tyrion's that way as it is. Like I'm just drinking and fucking around, and like everyone else is like, oh, you're just like the black sheep of the whole family, blah blah blah, and it's kind of a
Yeah.
joke. But even
Hmm.
though he turns around, like I think the overall tone of the show gets takes itself more serious after a while. It's not
Hmm.
not so much about like, look at these guys, they're just like fucking around, or like they're married and doing this, or like going hunting and some random shit. Like I feel like it got a little bit more focused, even though like it did
Uh-huh.
drag on a lot of parts.
Hmm.
I do want to ask you, what did you think overall of the actual threats throughout the show? Like the whole White Walker bullshit.
Yes, I mean that goes hand in hand with my opinions on fantasy. And I understand, like like when the last season was airing, uh, I did want to go back and rewatch the series. So like I started from the beginning,
Yeah,
just because I'd forgotten it. Like I think the show does need a rewatch. I'm not sure if I'm interested in doing
totally.
that anymore. But but yeah, I mean the White Walkers from the very first season, or from the very first scene in the TV show, it's
Oh
like
yeah, you're
winter
right.
is coming. So it's
Yeah,
like it's crazy how long that took
yeah,
to get there. But yeah, I mean in summary, I don't like the White Walkers. I don't like that threat just because to me, like, I mean, I understand it's a threat. It's a good threat as far as like being the end of the world type thing, where like all
hmm
these different factions and different
they have to unite.
parts of yeah, they all have to come together and fight. But it's like the villain, the White Walkers as a villain itself, or as an antagonist, it's not very
Oh
interesting to
yeah,
me
it's horrible.
at
Yeah,
all. So like it's kind of, I always wanted that just to kind of happen and then to be done with it, but you
yeah,
kind of knew that that was going to be like the end game for the series,
yeah.
uh, which it kind of was. But yeah, I never cared for the White Walkers, and I know how much you love dragons. Like initially, I'm like, I don't. These
Yeah,
are the
yeah.
fantasy elements. I don't when I
Right, right.
think of
No,
dragons, I
you're
think
right. I mean,
of.
I
But
don't really care if they're just kind of like there for no reason. Like even if you have them as
dragons are
a
cool.
character, it's cool. Yeah, there. I mean, like when used well, like in the battle when they were just like destroying everybody. when
Yeah.
I remember which battle it was, but you know when Jaime Lannister was out there and trying to fight, and then that's that's really showing how like dangerous a dragon is. Like you don't need a ton of dragons, like one dragon.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
And so I did like that. That's what I really liked about that and how they grounded the dragons in the sense where like it's just terrifying. Or like when I remember that one scene where one of the slavers tries to buy a dragon off of Daenerys, and he's like trying to hold it, and he's like, "Hey, tell your fucking dragon to chill out or whatever," and then she just like, "I don't own him," and then just like blasts him. I'm like, "Fuck yeah, man! You can't control the dragon." Yeah, stuff like that. But when it came to the White Rockers, I thought it was like, oh, this is such a cliche type. I mean, it's a zombie apocalypse, really. That's happening.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of the whole winter thing, and them getting like freezing and taking over the people. It's the same thing. I did like. I wish there was more of it, or in a way, I wish there was just something else completely about how the creation of them began. I really like that kind of the lore behind that about like how the children of the forest basically created them to protect them from men from taking over, like gentrifying the forest, I guess. And but then when they started becoming more autonomous and like, look, they're like leaders now, and somehow these zombie like knights or something, and then they control everybody, and I don't know how that happened. Now there's more of them. Because I think they turned the babies into them. I don't know what the hell. Like, I don't really know what was going on. Pissed me off that they killed the dragon. Then they used one of the dragons. I was like, fuck you. Like, it was very satisfying when they finally got him, though, at the end.
What do you mean?
When they got the main dude, the main White Walker dude.
Oh yeah, we'll get into that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't want to come off as rude to you, Abaddon. Yeah, so any other characters you want to hit on or anything? I mean, there's some that we passed up. Sam. Go ahead.
Yeah, Sam's all right.
You like Gilly, his girl? I like Gilly a lot.
She was cool. I mean, like I like that whole thing dynamic. I just remember her. She stood out to me because she's from the show Skins, very popular British show.
Okay.
And also she wasn't the only one actually. The guy Gendry.
Yeah, Gendry's awesome. Yeah.
Gendry, who's also from Skins.
Mm-hmm.
But what I was gonna say, Hot Pie. The kid, one of the kids that escaped with Arya.
The chubby one, or
little fat kid who becomes a baker. I liked him. I thought he was cool. Like he's like, I know my place. So I'm just gonna stay here and work in the kitchen. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. He's not gonna like I'm not gonna delude myself and try to become an adventurer. I'm gonna fucking just make food. I thought that was cool. I liked him.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot Tywin, the head Lannister. I thought he was one of the best characters in the show for sure. Especially that there's that whole section where like Arya's like a maid, you know.
Yeah, working close with him.
I'm not sure what's the technical term for what she is.
Kind of like a servant. Yeah.
But yeah, I thought all that stuff was super fascinating.
No, I think like out of all the families, like that was really well cast. Like you could see like how they all are the way they are from seeing him. You know, like when he finally comes in, and you're like, oh, I get it. I see why they're like that, or why Tyrion acts the way it is, or why he is like that because he's like it feels like he's a disappointment, and why Jaime kind of tries to overachieve, and why Cersei is almost exactly like him in that way. No, yeah, for sure, he was good, and like, but yeah, I can't think of anybody else after that.
All right, so yeah, eventually I wanted to get into you know, there's a point, I believe it's when I did my research after season 5 where they no longer had any source material to go off of because they had already gone through all the books. Obviously, Mr. RR is still he's still working. So yeah, after season 5 they didn't have material. So like the last 3 seasons, you know, were original. So how did you think the show changed at all at that point?
I don't know. I feel like it was still pretty much the same. Like I don't think anything like immediately changed in any way. But because I have no background on the actual books, because it wouldn't matter anyway. Because even if we had read the books, we like we stop, right? Because you can't go any further, so we don't know what
Yeah.
happens to compare
Yeah.
it. So I mean, if I never knew that this was based off of a book, I'd feel like, it's fine. That seems like I can't imagine it going in any other
Uh-huh.
direction because they built up so much to get towards that point, or like it was always headed in a certain direction, right? Like we always knew Daenerys was going to come asking for the throne. We knew the White Walkers were going to show up. We knew one of these other guys were going to go down. So I couldn't imagine it going any other way, right? Because that was all going to
Yeah,
happen.
I guess that makes sense what you're saying. Like as far as like the direction of the show and where it's headed.
Yeah.
It's just I guess it's the details at that point, like how they get there.
And I mean, obviously,
I
I think one thing that we mentioned right now, I mean, we keep joking
Mhm.
around about it, but I think if anything, it became less gratuitous, less salacious. Like, I'm sure if he would be writing the book, there'd still be a ton of more sex and fucks and like, all this kind of
Oh,
stuff.
I
I
have
mean,
no
yeah,
problem with that.
I know, but I mean, it's saying like I think because that's his thing. Like, I think that's more evident in his writing than it is in the show.
Mhm.
So I think like when they went on and decided not to do any more. I mean, at that point, the story was getting too serious for anybody to be fucking around. Like no one's got time to screw. I mean, it is the end of the world, so you probably would think that. But all the main characters had other stuff to do.
Mhm.
No one really had time to be like, I'm gonna go get myself a hooker and just mess around for a while and just drink.
You're really fixated on this sexual part of this show.
I think that's probably the only thing that was interesting to me. No, that and the dragons. Yeah, the
What?
Sex and the Dragons. That should be the name of a podcast.
Sex and
Sex and
dragons.
Dragons.
I mean, I
Or a heavy metal album. Sex and
I
Dragons.
mean, I don't recall like loving like the last few seasons. So
No, I think a lot of us stood with it because we had watched so much that we're like,
for
we're not
sure.
gonna sit around and
I
watch the
mean,
rest.
not like it ever was bad. And then
Yeah.
they always seem to nail like the last few episodes of
Oh, I
each
know
season.
what we missed.
You know.
Sorry,
Go
before
ahead.
cutting off, we missed Grey Worm and Miss Sunday.
Sunday, yeah, they were great.
I like Miss Sunday.
Barack Obama. I think Grey Worm looks exactly like Barack Obama. uh, yeah,
He was.
but I
I mean, he
mean,
did a good job acting because I know he's like a rapper or something,
yeah,
and he's like, yeah, pretty good job.
I liked him. I liked Masande too. Yeah, what was I saying?
So I know I cut you off. They just
Yeah,
popped
yeah,
up
no worries, no worries. I just forgot what I was saying. I lost my train of thought.
just about the story and
Yeah, I mean yeah, they definitely nailed like the latter part of the seasons, even though I wasn't in love with like the last few seasons. But like I felt like the show got to a point where it started cheating a lot as far as like the believability of, especially like when it came to like this whole
yeah,
teleportation thing.
yeah.
Like
There was a
people are
lot of
going
that.
around the
Hmm.
island, and that really bugged me because it's like the show in the earlier seasons, especially like in the
Yeah,
very
it took a
first
whole
season,
season.
like Baratheon asked Ned to like come and be the king's hand, and so it's like they place an emphasis on how long it takes to get to places, and
Yeah,
then you just completely abandon that. I understand like you have to set up
hurry
all
up.
these pieces in
Yeah.
place, and so maybe it calls for that, but that really like took me out of the show,
Well,
and to me it just felt like it was cheating, basically.
for me, like it's not something that I noticed immediately until people started
Uh-huh.
saying it. Like I did say, like that was kind of fast, but then at the same time, I was like, yeah, but if like it's like skipping through a book, it's like, all right, we're not gonna watch because like they got on a boat and they
Yeah.
sailed over there. And it's like, do we really want to see like a whole 2 episodes and them on the boat just talking like, what are we
Yeah,
gonna do
cool
about
stuff
the
could
boat?
happen along
What
the
are we gonna
way.
do? It's
Well,
no,
it's
like
like
at that point you're
no.
ramping up for the finales. That's why
Yeah,
I
but the
didn't
thing
care.
is, like, in the show as a whole, like, it could have went on a lot longer than it did. And so,
Sure.
like,
Yeah.
the reason why they're teleporting around the fucking island is to wrap things up.
The
I know we're
budgetary.
gonna get into more detail with the eighth the final season, but
Yeah.
it's like you could have took your time with this and did a lot of storylines in a natural way, and you chose not to. Um, but yeah.
It's probably a thing where they just said like this show's getting way too expensive. Like, hey, let's hurry it up.
Yeah, but it's like was the most successful show on TV at the
Yeah, but
time.
no
Like
one's
they're
really
gonna make
paying
their
for
money
it.
back. What?
I don't know about that. It's not like a movie. You're not making like
What?
those $20
Well,
tickets.
HBO's not in the red for like producing Game of Thrones. They're making shit ton of money off of it.
Yeah,
I'm
merch
I'm just
probably.
saying, like, I mean, obviously they had the creators which were there from the beginning and to the end. Do you know the creators off the top of your head? Those fucking guys?
Was it like Daryl or
It's like
Damon? Or...
Daniel, like Daniel and Daniel. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, clearly they yeah, David Benioff and DB Weiss. Clearly they, at some point they were checked out and they just wanted it to be over with, which I see,
Yeah.
like it's taken up so many years of your life, and they were signed on to do like a Star Wars, like a trilogy, right?
Star
Initially,
Trek? Or,
Star Wars, they
yeah, I
were,
don't
and
know.
then they're no longer attached to that project.
Oh.
But yeah, I don't
Yeah, I
know.
think after a while, I mean, I don't understand. Like, in any other normal TV show, you could get like people to like take over from you, right? Like, there's always like the first
Sure,
couple of seasons where you're the showrunner, you're the creator, and then you just
that's
move
what
back to
J.J.
producer.
Abrams does all the time,
Yeah. It's like, you're like, you fuck it up because I don't want to
which is
be
a good
in
thing
trouble.
because
Yeah,
fuck him.
totally. But I mean, it's like the thing. It's like they didn't have to be there along the entire way. Like at that point, it could have just been like on autopilot in a sense where like produce like Spielberg does the same thing, right? He produces a lot of stuff.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I don't know. I think overall it's kind of like the ending we were expecting. I mean, I don't know what I don't know. I don't think I could have imagined it happening any other way or what I could have imagined happening. Like
Yes, I mean, you
if you
wanna
want to move
go ahead.
towards like the finale, if you want to move towards like that. So I don't know, or unless
Yeah,
there's
if you
anything
want, we
else.
could get into the last season if you want. Now.
No, like
I'm
is there
sorry,
anything
my
else that I mean,
brain's
like
like,
yeah, no,
what happened?
is there anything else that we're missing or that you had on your list to go over before we did?
No. So yeah, the source material thing. Yeah, like I said, I do think it's noticeable, like the change of not having that material to go off of.
Yeah.
Obviously, they diverge from it, and I guess um, I'm speaking not from knowing the source material, but I think it's clear
Well, they did say that
that
they were
change.
already diverging from it, it wasn't just immediately like, oh, the books are over, let's stop doing this. I think towards the last season before that happened, they were already kind of going in a different direction
Uh-huh.
from what I was reading. So
Yeah, and like even like with George R. R. Martin, like he could probably give them some sort of guidance there, which supposedly he did,
I think he did, yeah.
but he could just be lying and just like
Yeah, it's true. It could be
it's
political, like don't talk shit about it.
like it's
Just
not. I mean, it's based on his property, but in the end, the story that's gonna matter is when those books finally come out. Hopefully, the guy doesn't fucking die before that happens. Uh,
I'm
I'm
just gonna
swearing a
say, does
lot. I'm
anybody
swearing a
still
lot on this
care
show.
anymore? Does anybody
What
still
happened?
care? Does anybody still care at this point?
I mean, I don't
Everyone
read the
who's
books,
read
so
the
I don't
books,
care. But I
everyone
would
who's read
like.
the books have watched the show. At this
Uh-huh.
point, do you really want to go back and see how he's gonna finish it? If he ever does, I don't know.
I think yes.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yes,
There's
because
always
they
somebody.
okay, so let's get into the final season.
All
So I'll
right.
say yes because they royally fucked it up. So yeah,
Yeah,
they wanna
that's true.
see a proper ending. Uh,
That's just to
but
say
yeah,
if he will make a good one. I'm just saying. Who
yeah,
knows if he can finish it?
yeah. So I mean, I thought like the last season, right? 6 episodes, way too short. I understand they did like movie length
Hmm.
episodes. Like the longest one was like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and a half. Uh, But yeah, for me, yeah, I did like the first 2 episodes of that season, and then season three. I mean, episode three happened, which was the big battle uh, at Winterfell with the White Walkers and whatnot. Uh, and yeah, obviously there was a lot of complaints about not being able to see anything on that in that
Yeah.
episode, which I completely agree. There's not, and like, man, for me that episode starts off so well, and it builds like the atmosphere
Yeah.
like
No,
just the
I like
tension and everything.
the
And
little
I just think
thing going on.
the episode falls apart, to be honest. I know you said you liked the ending, like where Arya killed the Night
Or,
King.
yeah.
I thought that was awful. Like, especially like that's
What way?
why.
What way?
What happened?
Awful in what way?
Well, it's like, well, first of all, they give Arya like way too many big moments in the series, like just too many. Like she kills like not the Greyjoys. Is it the Greyjoys? No, the Friars or something. The people who killed Rob and
Wall the Frey.
yeah.
Yeah.
So like they give her that big moment. Obviously, that's like what her character is. Like she's on this quest to kill,
She's
this
an
list
assassin.
of people.
Yeah, she became an assassin.
But no, like like I said, from the beginning of the show, they set up the White Walkers, and I didn't care about the White Walkers. Like going into the season, I'm like, I had heard how long episode 3 was because like they released the episode lengths for each one. I'm like, all right, I hope, I hope they wrap up this whole White Walker thing well, but I don't care about that threat. Like it's something that I was never something that I was never interested in. Sorry guys if I was off center there. I can't even see myself. But yeah, so like for them to just tie it, like throughout the series, they're building up to this, basically the showdown with Jon Snow and the Night King, and then we never get that. We get Arya doing this stupid blade run. Well, first of all, running past his guards, which I think is ridiculous, and then just stabbing him, and like
I don't think. I mean, like for me, like at that point. I know you were saying like that. I think at that point I had already like kind of I didn't expect them to have like a just major showdown with Jon Snow. I think I'd already seen. I think from what I've seen with Jon Snow, like he just kind of dropped the ball a lot of times throughout the season. Like he hasn't had any like amazing moments. Like he could have done this, but he ended up dead, or he was too stupid, so he did this. And it's just like each and every time I'm like, this guy's never really gonna do anything like epic, at least to me. And I never felt that way. Like, Arya got another kill. Like, what the hell? Why don't you guys give it to Bran? He's just sitting there. I
hated it.
I just thought because, and it's weird that you say that because to me it's like, how did she get past like that? Like, her whole thing is to not be seen, just like just to appear.
They're literally all surrounding her, and she just runs and jumps past them. I think it's ridiculous.
I don't think they were surrounding her. She wasn't even there.
No, I'm sorry. They're all surrounding Bran.
Yeah, they were coming closer. Yeah. I mean, like, I think at that point she could run on Snow like and not be heard. I don't know. I mean, for me, I just saw her as a ninja, and I just like that she just popped out of nowhere and did it. Like it's just kind of like poof.
Well, for me, it's just like if you're gonna set this up the entire series, winter is coming the entire series.
Right.
And then that's how you wrap it up. Like,
I like the fact that it didn't catch him completely off guard. Like he immediately turned around and caught her. Like he's like, I see you, basically. And in a way, I kind of feel like maybe that's why they let her pass, because they knew like she was always going to be a threat to come through, and she just gets the better of him because she doesn't immediately get him in one hit. She drops the blade and still stabs him, which I think was a badass move. Like to me, it's just like I didn't really see it as like, oh, she's overpowered in any way, because they put her in situations where she just kind of like did well. Like that's the only way she would actually make it. She can't full on fight anybody like Jon can. She can't do the other stuff that other people can do. What she's really good at is just being at the right place to show up and like killing people. And that's to me. I mean, I liked it overall. Like I had nothing, like you were saying, like, oh, they build all this up, and to me it's just like I'm just glad that's over with. The guys out of here.
Happy it's over with, but it's like if you're going to spend that much time.
No, I get it.
That aspect of the show.
There was no epic battle. Yeah,
I mean there was, but like they didn't even like you have this type of battle and you think so many characters are going to be offed, and there was so many convenient fights where I didn't even know what's that term? What's that like armor? Plot armor, I think it's called. Yeah, like characters just in like really shitty positions like Jaime and Brienne, and then nothing ends up happening to them. Not like I want to see those characters go necessarily. Yeah. It just felt like it was done in a way that was just too convenient.
No, that's true. And I mean, part of me that upset me too is like, which I also didn't really care that they did away with him that fast, because he never really had any other real motivation. I guess it's like they're just zombies and they're just going to. I don't even know why they're going over there to kill. I don't know who. I don't know if it's just like this blanket wave of zombies going through the entire planet, or why are they going specifically straight to King's Landing? Like no one really mentions that. Like if the guy would have started talking and be like kind of become like a Thanos type character, where he's like, I'm doing this to cleanse the world of man or some bullshit, then I'd be like, okay, I want an epic like fight. Like I want to see like him like beat the shit out of Jon Snow and leave him for dead or whatever. So when he ends up dying like that easy by Arya, I'm just kind of like good because what he's not even a
No,
person. He's
no.
not a person. I don't know. You could look
But
at it that way.
still,
But just
like the
it's
dispatch
hollow.
the
There's
White
just nobody
Walkers
there.
in a good way. That wasn't good at all. And like it was just fun. Like I mean, yeah, we're disagreeing. That's fine.
Yeah, I
But
know. I
like,
mean, that's what we're discussing this. But I mean,
yeah,
what else would you want? How else would you want him to go?
I
Like by
wanted an
fire
epic
or
battle or
something?
something. I don't know. Like,
Like Jon Snow and him on a dragon or something? Like just duking it out in the
no,
air?
I mean, yeah, maybe that would have been cool.
That
I
would
don't
have been
know.
cool. Sure. Yeah, but I mean, like at least for me, like I'm satisfied. I don't
Uh-huh.
like. I
I mean,
didn't really
you
care too much to be like, oh man, I really want this to be like this. So I was like,
well,
all right,
like
cool.
earlier in the series, you got that episode,
Yeah, yeah,
where
they were
where
good.
they did battle, and that was a great episode. At the end of it, the Night King resurrects all the fucking people who died. Like that was awesome. So I
Yeah.
mean, at that point, Jon Snow was kind of a waste of space, but
Mm.
I still didn't like how they did that. And like and then I remember after that show aired, like a lot of people loved the episode, and I was kind of that contrarian. And to me, I didn't think it was like contrarian just for contrarian's sake. Like I genuinely felt that way. And that's back when
Mm.
I was working at Venmo, so I was very like vocal about it. And there was a guy
Yeah.
like sitting near me who I never even like really conversed with, and he got really pissed at me. You're just trying to be a fucking contrarian. And I'm like, oh, well, I never said I told you so, but the way the series wrapped up, I think it's universally hated or disliked at least.
So yeah, let's
But
get
yeah.
into that because I'm trying to remember. I
hmm
mean, what is it that made this liked so much by everybody?
Well, I mean, so I guess it starts with, and like I said, I did like where they started to take Daenerys, but in that last season, they bring her to this person who can't trust anybody around her. She doesn't think that they have faith in her as a leader,
Oh, and then she goes nuts, and she
which they
goes
kind of
nuts.
don't. Yeah, and she goes nuts, and it's like that's my issue with them rushing the show. It's like
That
you
was
can do six
stupid.
episodes and then you rush this character arc, and it doesn't feel natural at all.
Yeah.
Uh, and so like I like the idea of where they wanted to take her character. They just didn't put in the work to do so.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was. I guess
No,
I guess
I,
I
I
guess
hate I
people
hated
people
that. You're right.
yeah,
I
people's
hated
biggest
that.
thing was the King's Landing thing, right? Her killing all those innocent people.
Yeah.
Uh,
It
and then
seemed like
also,
it came out of nowhere.
mhm,
I don't understand it. Like I mean, they try to like really feed you all these reasons, like oh, John doesn't really love her,
uh-huh,
and that's reason enough to go nuts because a guy doesn't love you after she spent this whole time like I don't need a man, and now
uh-huh.
this man doesn't love me, so I'm gonna go fucking ape shit on
And she
everybody.
doesn't trust him obviously because she thinks, because he's the rightful heir right to the throne.
Yeah,
But it's like he's like, oh, no, I'm not interested in that.
yeah. Like even for her, it's like I'm not gonna be your queen, like I don't care, but and it's like yeah, like you said, I still don't even know. I don't even like throughout this whole series they try to give you this stigma of like her family is cursed, right? Like her
hmm
dad was the mad king, so automatically that means like she's kind of like
Destined
I
to
don't,
become the Mad
yeah,
King as well,
yeah.
or the
And I
Mad
think it's
Queen.
kind of stupid. It's like really like I thought the whole point of this entire thing was like after when her brother died was like putting it like the kingdom in the hands of a woman is like the right way to go because obviously she's more level-headed, she's gone through all that
Yeah,
shit. I mean obviously she made mistakes,
and she cares
she
about
learned
people, and she generally wants
yeah,
to,
she was like letting people like she was freeing people. So for her to just turn around and just start killing randomly like that,
uh,
I just thought like what? Like yeah, at that point I was like, wow, like you wanted to get rid of her like that? Like that's your
mhm,
excuse to kill her off so John could
yeah,
take over or whoever else wanted to take over? That's stupid. Like you built her all this way to get her to that point without her no one would get here and now you
uh,
just want to kill her off. That was
mhm.
stupid. Yeah.
Yeah. And then also like I mentioned earlier about them like fucking over Varys. Like I think the way they did his character was dirty too. It's like
I don't remember. So yeah, remind me.
so yeah, I mean he just had this moment where he was like conspiring against her, but he was doing it in such an obvious way where it's like this guy is a intellectual dude. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to connive, and you know,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of betray that character, and then she kills him. The same thing. Like going back to episode 3, the ridiculous part in that episode, like was them like hiding out in the tombs, you know, and like they actually people knew like that was coming. Like yeah, they're gonna hide in the tombs, and the Nightwalker, they could resurrect people. Probably
Yeah.
not the brightest idea. And there's actually a funny, how they do like they'll have an episode and then they'll do like an after the episode special, just kind of talking about whatever happened and like
Yeah. They mentioned it.
Tyrion, what's his name? What's the
Peter
actor's name?
Dinklage.
Peter Dinklage like talks about like yeah he's the smartest guy in the world, but you think he would know that's probably not a good place for them to be, but they do it anyway. So it's like
Yeah.
that's the thing like with the show, it went bad, and after the fact, a lot of the actors came out and kind of justified like, oh, there's no way we could please everybody, which I totally get that. I don't think it's about pleasing. It's about taking like, you know, bringing the show to a satisfying conclusion. And also, it's you're an actor. If you, well, not you're not an actor, but like
No, I know.
you can't really badmouth, productions that you were on because that's obviously career suicide. But it's like
I don't think it's
no one's going to
suicide,
talk
but-
about like them probably not liking the direction of the show.
No,
Obviously,
but
there's
I feel like
videos
it's a
of
weird question to ask, though.
Yeah.
It's just like, did you really think that's the right way to go? I'm like, motherfucker, I'm an actor. I just fucking read lines. If I just say
Yeah.
I don't like this, then you're not gonna get the job.
Yeah. Well,
take
no,
it
I
up with
felt-
the directors, take it up with the writers.
Uh-huh.
I don't give a shit. Like, what?
I mean,
I got paid to do this. I don't give a fuck. It's like,
yeah, but
I
I mean,
know.
no, you
Just-
you put so much of your life. I mean, what I'm saying is like they're obviously not gonna say if they disagree with the direction of their
until
character went.
that part of their contract goes up, and then
Or
after
until
that,
they're fucking old and they're not worried about like still being in movies or shows.
Yeah.
But like I disagree with that in the sense that like you give so many years of your life to these characters.
But
and
I
to not
think
bring
I
them
think
to
you
a
can still
satisfying
disagree with somebody
conclusion.
and be like, oh, I just didn't like that. I thought I did my character wrong. But I mean, there's a right way of saying that, right? You don't have to be like, man, those guys are fucking stupid. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to write a story. Like that's the wrong way to say it.
They didn't know
right?
what they were doing.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like that's the wrong way to say it versus you
Yeah.
saying like, yeah, like I didn't like how they did it. Like my character, I wasn't happy with the way they went. But what can you do? Yeah, my light went out.
Yeah, I mean they had released that video of the table read when they were like reading over the final script, and there's that part where the actor who plays Varys just kind of throws his fucking script on the table. But it's like I don't know if it's like because he's emotional about it or if he's disagreeing with what they did to his fucking character. But it's still pretty funny. But I guess it could be read in different ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know, like I feel like it just got really lazy with the writing, and yeah, it was just really.
And even
for me, it's one of the most disappointing like closings of a series. Like I said, when that season 8 was airing, I did go back and start watching it from the beginning, and now I have no interest in doing that because like there's so many plot lines that run through the entire show, like the White Walker thing. Even though I didn't give a shit about the White Walkers, just to know how that ultimately ends, what the end of that journey is, just makes me not want to waste the time to reinvest in the show.
Actually, I might rewatch it again now that we've been talking about it.
Yeah, those first like 4 seasons are
pretty
fantastic.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have the latest season, the last one. Which I would like to have it just to watch it all in its entirety like that. But I mean, I bought the season series off of somebody who was selling the codes, so I just bought the entire season 1 through 7.
That's cool.
Which is unfortunate. Like, I don't know how they did this. It's kind of lame that they did this in iTunes or whatever. But like, if you bought the season set, what?
No, I was gonna say like, is iTunes doing that bullshit where the incomplete box sets that we were talking about?
Yeah, no, I mean like, no, but close. It's like, I don't have
Digital,
any of
that's
the
different, but
I
yeah.
don't have any of the special features of
Okay.
anything. Like it's
Uh-huh.
just the bare bones episodes. But if you would go there and say like I want season one, like I want season two, it gives you all the people. That's a misconception now with digital. With people with
Hmm.
digital is like because like I rather have the DVD. Like actually, digital is like the entire DVD now. You have like all the
But you
special
get the
features.
features and everything, you
Yeah,
mean?
it's all
Okay.
the same thing. Except for older films, maybe like I don't know. I was watching Anchorman earlier because obviously, as some of you might know, Fred Willard recently passed away as a
Yeah.
really great comedic actor. And I was trying to say, what movies do I have of him that I can watch right now? Started watching Anchorman. Anchorman isn't one of those films. Like you hit play, it's not a DVD menu. It's just a movie. I think I bought Demolition Man yesterday. Also, just a movie. It's just it doesn't play anything. I
Uh-huh.
mean, it doesn't have like special features or whatever.
Yeah, speaking of Fred Willard, I was thinking of watching Wally. I know he's such a small part of that
Yeah.
film.
No, I was thinking about that
But
too, but
yeah.
I was like, I'll watch Anchorman because he's funny in that one. He's
I
funny
need
on.
to get around to like the Mighty Wind and stuff like that. I've never really seen like Best in Show. Like I've never
Yeah,
seen those movies.
yeah, they're funny, but I just think they're kind of boring. They're pretty slow. The humor is good, but it's just kind of boring. Like I get it that they're trying to take a topic that's already boring and make it funny, but it's still
Hmm.
boring.
Yeah.
But at the very end of this whole thing, though,
Hmm.
when they decide who's going to take over, they give obviously from watching it, they give it to Bran. They just decide to nominate Bran.
Yeah. Tyrion has this whole speech about how, stories are everything, and who has the greatest story? Bran Stark, which he probably has the worst story out of everybody
Yeah,
in the series.
like completely sat out of everything because all he did was just like kind of like speaking stoned out of his mind,
Uh-huh.
like talking to a tree for the entirety of the whole season or the whole show.
His character's so bad. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know about his character being bad. It's just kind of like that. I guess that's what it was always gonna be. Like he was just gonna be that kind of person. But then now he becomes
Yeah.
like, and I'm not, and this is not to like put a disservice to like to people on the spectrum or autistic people because he kind of felt like he just started turning into an autistic person. Like he just didn't have any emotion. Like he couldn't connect to people anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And then all of a sudden that makes him like perfect to be a ruler. Like this person who can't connect with anybody. I mean, I know
Uh-huh.
after his connection with the tree and the three-eyed raven, whatever broke, he was kind of more there.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
he just, he wasn't as like completely like I don't know cold. Like he was
Yeah,
kind of
for sure.
I'm here now. I could tell you what's going on. But still, I mean, what were our other choices at that point? Jon Snow again? Like no. Sansa, she's like I don't give a shit because I'm gonna go back north.
Uh-huh.
I think if they asked her if she wanted to be it, she probably would have said no anyway.
Hmm.
There was
Yeah,
who else
she
was
didn't
left?
want to hang out in Winterfell. I mean, obviously, Jon Snow got banished because of what he did, which I thought that was kind of.
That was stupid
I
too.
feel like there would have been more dire consequences to him killing the queen. But then again, even though he did get blamed for it, I don't even know how they knew he did it. He could have just been like, "Yeah,
What?
the dragon just took her away."
The
uh, like
dragon knew.
nothing happened. I didn't do
Oh, that's
anything.
that's a
There's no
good
blood
point.
here. There
Um,
probably was blood in
but,
the
but at the
ground.
same time, it's like I think that's stupid, right? Because obviously she's going nuts.
Uh-huh.
Someone's got to stop her because otherwise she's going to kill everyone. So the fact that he puts an end to that, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you killed the queen. He's like, you're going to die,
Yeah,
and it's like, what? I just like stopped her from doing all that shit. You
yeah.
know, I mean, at the same time, I was stupid because like, oh, he ends up right where he started, back at the wall. Like he was already released when he died because it's like I died at the
Well, he
wall.
didn't
Now
go.
I'm free.
He went north of the wall with the
Oh,
wildlings.
right,
So he's
right,
going to
right.
be an explorer now and just like be one with nature, with the people.
Antarctica,
And
whatever. Stupid.
so I mean, how do you think? I know a lot of people were disappointed. Like obviously everybody hated Cersei. They wanted her to get her comeuppance. Obviously that didn't really happen. She just ended up dying with.
I like the
Uh,
way she did it. I like the way it wasn't like I
I thought
think
it was
like
effective, but
I think for me it was like yeah you think you deserve like I think she always knew she was gonna die like there was no way she was gonna win like she knew that after
yeah.
she saw everything that was happening but I feel like she kind of expected to get into like this really major like I'm gonna go down like this and instead she just like dies in a pile of rubble like underneath everything
Yeah.
You know, like there was no grand like death for her. She just kind of just got buried away, and no one will find her.
And
So I
then what
thought,
did you think of the Clegane bow? So the mountain versus the hound.
but the way they made out the mountain to be after they
Like
brought him back,
zombified, yeah.
yeah, but like he was supposed to be like super mega zombie. I
Yeah.
have no idea how the Hound could have even lasted as long as he did versus him. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, how did he even kill him? Did he even really kill him, or they just kind of?
They fell off like the
Yeah,
staircase together, like into the flames, basically. Yeah, I thought that was so overdone, and I hated how the hound looked. Not the hound, though. How the mountain looked without his helmet. He kind of reminded me of Darth Vader, actually, a little bit.
yeah.
Uh,
Remind me like one of the Jason movies when he didn't have the mask on, he just looked all stupid.
I was watching
Um,
a documentary about that the other day, and yeah,
oh yeah, Jason. I mean, yeah, I mean,
about Kane Hodder, yeah. But I'll talk
oh
about
yeah,
that on
yeah.
Sunday.
I didn't really care for it. I was kind of hoping for an epic battle, but at the same time, I was like,
Yeah.
there's no way that this guy can actually take him on. The
Mhm.
guy's insanely overpowered. He's like an ogre.
Yeah.
Like there'd have to be a better way to fight him. So unfortunately, I thought that was kind of lame. I really wish he did end up dying when the Viper poisoned him and did all that stuff to him.
Yeah, I
But
thought that would have been a nice like set. He, you know, fucking
yeah,
crushed Oberon, which to me next to the or alongside Red Wedding, like that was the most affecting scene to me was seeing Oberon get his head crushed. Like I do not
that
like
one
watching
punch,
that.
that one punch that like basically knocks out
Knocks
all
his
his
teeth
teeth,
off.
like
That's so
just so
fucked up.
brutal. Yeah,
Yeah.
I couldn't. Yeah, I just that was so fucked up. Yeah. And then the whole thing when they go, I mean, I know we're going back, but when they go into the stories of the Sands, the sisters,
Uh-huh.
they're all supposed to be badass daughters of this dude, and then they all get killed off so easily when their time comes.
Hmm.
Like none of them last. I mean,
Do
who
you
was
remember
left? I mean,
what the name of that house was again?
of what?
Uh, the Sand Snake ladies.
I don't remember.
Because all I know is Oberyn, but he's married, right? He's married into it, so he's a Martell. Was that who he is?
Martell? No, no, the Martells were the Marjorie. No, wait, no, I think you're right. No, you're right.
No, I mean Oberyn's last name is Martell because he's
Yeah.
probably
Mhm.
married into it. But yeah. So I mean, what was? Do you remember? I'm trying to look it up here. The Greyjoy, so like Theon. What was his brother's name? Because he ended up turning into like the big baddie by the end of the series, and he's a pretty terrible character.
No, he
Uh,
was an uncle. He was an uncle.
what was his name again?
I was like, Theon. Theon
Because
is
he's
the other
not.
guy.
Oh, Roderick. That sound
No,
right?
that's not him. No,
That's not him. Research. Yeah. Sorry,
I don't
guys.
remember.
Yeah.
No, yeah, yeah, he was
Yeah,
a
but
pretty.
he was pretty shitty. He's
Yeah,
a shitty character.
came out of nowhere. I mean, maybe he didn't in the books or whatever, but I thought
Uh-huh.
he's like, oh, now I'm gonna take over. Like some regular raggedy ass pirate dude who got
Yeah.
exiled comes back and takes over.
Yeah, when I saw him, I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah,
Like, oh, he didn't actually die. I'm like, oh, I
but I
don't
thought it
know who
was a
you
good fight
are
between him
exactly.
and Jamie. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a cool scene.
That was a good fight at least. But yeah, I don't think there's like a lot of fights that I thought like, damn, that was a good fight. Other than like the Hound versus Brienne, that was an awesome fight. Like
Uh-huh.
they were going at it. Like see, like that made sense, right? Like them going at it because they're both like almost like the same.
Uh-huh.
Because with the Mountain, they built him up to be like a monster, and
Hmm.
there was no way he was ever gonna fight him off or beat him other than just both of them die there. Like he knew he was gonna die, right? But at the same time, it's just like the only thing he could do was just hold him so he would die too.
Hmm.
And even then, I mean, like, yeah, they fell into the fire, but somehow I don't believe that he would have ended up dying. He's just that overkill. I mean, I think he got stabbed too. I think he stabbed him a few times.
Yeah, he stabbed him a lot, I think.
Yeah.
But like nothing was happening.
Yeah.
And then obviously, I know I mentioned with Cersei, but like Jamie, yeah, he's one of the best characters on the show. Best characters on the show. But they give him this whole cool like redemption angle. and you end up really liking his character. But yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, in the end, he ends up choosing family. So I mean, I guess I didn't really have an issue with that, just because uh, that bond with Cersei that they had together. Like I've always appreciated that part of the show, and so it wasn't surprising for me to
Well, a lot of
have that
people
carrier make the decision.
equated it to like an addict going back, like a junkie going back.
Yeah.
Like no matter what, like they'll always regress or go back to it. So I don't
In a way,
know.
he's probably trying to save her, right? And like going back there and trying to speak some
Yeah, I mean,
sense
I
into
think
her.
he always
So,
knew. I mean, I think we always, throughout this entire series, we kind of knew he was always kind of bound to her in a way. Like he was
yeah.
always be there to save her. Like no matter how fucked up she is or crazy shit she did, he would always be there to save her because it's like you said, there's that bond. It's a fucked up bond, but still.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, she's a piece of shit, but I think the one endearing quality she has is, you know, family above all else. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So any more thoughts on
No, I mean, we really ripped
WAWD?
into this show, but I mean,
Yeah, and I'm sure we, didn't give due to a lot of characters. Obviously, there's a lot of great characters throughout the duration the entire series.
yeah, I mean,
So sorry
lots
if
of
we
them.
didn't talk about characters that you like, but
But again, like I want to reiterate, like it's just a fantastic show. I mean, overall, like
yeah.
production value, it's wonderfully shot. The music is amazing. I forgot it. Ro- Rajan Djawadi. I can't remember the guy who does the music for him. Like he created one of the best themes for a TV show in a very long time. Which I think he also did the theme for Westworld, which Westworld also has a really great theme song or
Uh-huh.
score. Yeah, I mean, like there's nothing, there hasn't been anything like it in a
Uh-huh.
long time. I don't think there has been, and I think a lot of people are going to try to recreate it. We're going to see what the new Lord of the Rings show on Amazon is going to be like. Obviously, it's probably not going to be anything like that.
Yeah.
It's a lot lighter in terms of like, I mean, there's obviously violence in it, but it's not going to be like this kind of crazy shit.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, it's definitely a unique, one of a kind show. Didn't please a lot of people. I'm just kind of glad it finally did end when it did. I had fun for most part of the entire
Yeah,
show, and like I said, it was fun to watch. It was fun to
yeah,
be a part of. I mean, you mentioned to
for
me
sure.
that you had a viewing party in the Philippines at the hotel.
Yeah.
I think that was pretty unique.
Yeah, we were, it just ended up lining up where we were out there for, I think, like the last three episodes. So
Hmm.
like I had to figure out a way to see it. It's like the two of them I think I watched, or like episodes 4 and 5 I watched just in my hotel room. But then episode 6 they did a finale, which that was a lot of fun. And obviously the brand thing is ridiculous. Uh, Aside from like I think episodes 3 and 4. I mean I didn't like 3. 4 was clearly like the worst. I think of that last season. But I didn't hate the last episode. Like I know they kind
Yeah,
of made some decisions that I didn't like, and obviously the brand thing is the main thing there, and like
yeah,
the Clegane bow wasn't the greatest, but I still, as a whole, I didn't hate the finale. Uh,
hmm
despite me, coming off like I mean, I do dislike how it wrapped up. So
yeah. At least they didn't go to black and then just hear some gunshots or something like that. Yeah, no, and I just want to say, like, I mean, obviously it was a cultural phenomenon, right? I mean, people all
yeah,
over the world were really interested in it. I used to go to like viewing parties as well. Like one of my neighbors used to have a viewing, not my neighbor here, a
mhm,
friend would invite me to go over, and I think I would go and see a couple episodes there, and we would all sit down and watch it, and just kind of it became like an event every time they were showing it,
yeah,
right? Because it got to
yep,
the point where every episode was an event, and you just had to go and see it. Did you see it? And don't
yeah. And
talk
I
about it if
wonder,
you haven't seen it, or if you've seen it, I haven't seen it yet. Don't talk, get out of here. I want to see it. So yeah,
yeah,
it had that impact on everybody, and I think, I mean, not to cut you off really quick,
no,
but I just
no,
want
no
to
worries.
mention like
Sorry.
how much of an effect it's had on pop culture in general, right? Like you see it being
Hmm.
parodied everywhere, from films making fun of it to SNL, and I mean, obviously SNL will always take on the more topical stuff, but
Yeah.
it's become such a strong presence in pop culture that I can't imagine moving forward going on into any kind of fantasy type thing without referencing Game of Thrones.
Mhm.
You know,
Yeah, and I wonder what the next big thing is going to be because, like, obviously Potter was like before Game of Thrones, like Potter and I guess Lord of the
mm-hmm.
Rings. I feel like Lord of the Rings to a lesser extent. I think the Potter fandom is probably a little bit higher than that. But yeah, I mean, Game of Thrones. I mean, I guess towards the end of that series, maybe the interest level waned a little bit. Uh, but yeah, can you still hear me?
Yeah,
The
yeah.
fucking headset is
No,
falling apart. But yeah, I wonder what the next like big cultural phenomenon is going to be. Uh, it's not fucking Tiger King because that show needs to just go away and be forgotten.
and it's also
But
not
it's not going to be.
it's not
They're
the
doing a TV
Mandalorian.
show. What happened?
It's not the Mandalorian.
I lost interest in The Mandalorian. I only saw
I
3
can't think of any
episodes.
major thing like that. There hasn't been anything that major yet. I mean, Westworld, obviously. Westworld is its own cultural phenomenon as well, but I don't
Yeah,
think it's
I feel like
such.
that never caught on. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
obviously it's probably successful. It has its
it's still
audience.
going on. Obviously, I haven't seen the latest season, but I still don't think. And I think it's great. I like it a lot. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that I hate about it, but more. I mean, I like it more than I do Game of Thrones, and but I don't think it's going to have that kind of impact that Game of Thrones has had
Yeah,
on
I think it
culture.
would have had that already for sure. But I guess
Yeah,
it's more of like a heady show, right?
yeah, it's heady.
So
It's
it's
more.
not as mainstream as something like Game of Thrones.
It's definitely like that. And like I said, like I think we've talked about this in the past, where it's definitely has more in connection or yeah, I guess like in connection with like devs and stuff
Mhm.
like like the kind of Alex Garland type stuff, AI type stuff,
Yeah.
and then something that's more political. So it's more existential versus more political or more action based.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you never seen it, right?
No, I mean, maybe I'll check it out one day. I
Yeah,
just like
you should definitely check
all
it
the
out.
friends that I know have seen it. Like everybody's mixed on it, so it's like,
Yeah,
well, that's not really a strong
I would
recommendation.
definitely recommend at least watching the first season. So
Hmm. Okay.
because that's still the strongest one. I enjoy the second one as well. And does it still have that guy? I can't remember. Yeah, it's good. It's good. Yeah, I like it.
Still have that guy.
Yeah.
What guy are you talking about?
I don't know. I was trying to think about the character, Ed Harris's character. I
Yeah,
was
like
trying
the
to
Man in Black, or
yeah.
I don't know what his
No,
name
but
is, but
he is throughout. He is still happy throughout the entire second season, and his whatever the stuff that they kind of put in your head about what's going on with him and everything else kind of ties in. You're like, what if, what is really cool. So, but that's pretty much it for this episode. I don't want to leave you guys cut off here. We are at the 1 hour and a half mark. So thanks for listening as always. Keep
uh,
watching, keep listening, keep doing what you do, and just do more of it. And let us what you think. Let us know what you think as well.
yeah.
Did you like Game of Thrones? Did you fucking hate it? Do you hate us because of the way we were talking about it? Let us know.
I
I
don't
know my
care. Come
wife.
at me. It's fine.
Yeah, come at him. He's the one who doesn't like it as much. But or just hit us up on Instagram at ohmywad on Instagram. And I'm Abbott on Arcade. Boy Decide.
Yeah.
We'll see you next time.